Ladies and gentlemen, this is bonus coverage of the JV game between Pioneer and Huron Soccer. At this point, 15:08 left to go as we are counting down. And looks like a little surprised I'm not getting anything. I am getting things counting down there on the clock. So this is, again, second half. In the JV game, I don't have the JV roster, so I can't really do any play-by-play for this, but a little extra, as we say, bonus coverage. That way you can watch along with, and I will pull that, I'll pull the overlay off of our broadcast here, and we'll put it back on once we're between the games. We should have a 10-minute spot between the games as Huron brings it down, taken away by Pioneer, heading the other direction. Pioneer lofts it all the way down, trying to make it over as that was headed back twice by Huron. Trying to get it back over to the center line. Knocked down, Huron pulling it down on the near way. Pioneer going left to right as Huron brings it down the near wing, trying to get it in the corner. That tipped out the near touch line. That'll be a throw-in for the River Rats. As again, we have just some bonus coverage here of the JV game between Pioneer and Huron, counting down. 13:38 left to go. As the JV contest, or the varsity contest, scheduled to get going at 7 o'clock. Obviously, we'll probably get going. We'll have about a 10-minute buffer between the games as a restart for the River Rats. So they get the ball set right at the center line. Bring it on down, comes over near the near touch line, held in by Huron. 19 brings it back, fires off across, knocked down by Pioneer. Pioneer lifts it, trying to get it down into the attacking third. Brought back. Huron coming down the far side of the pitch. Under 13 minutes to go here in the JV contest as the Huron players sliding and went down hard on the back. Hopefully he just got the wind knocked out of him, but you never know. As the official and some of the players over to keep an eye on him and see if he'll be all right. As he slid down, it might have fell hard just on the edge of the track over on that far side, as they do have a trainer over working on the player. He is down on his back, as he is now up. Brought back. Here comes Pioneer. That chipped away by Huron. Brought back, coming down the far wing. Gathered in by the keeper right at the edge of the 18 over on the far side. Looks like the Huron player number 11 is up and on the card, so we're very happy to see that. Hopefully that young gentleman will be all right. Under 12 minutes left to go. 11:45 here in the JV contest. 1-0. Pioneer up. They scored just as we were coming in the first to set up. Header right in the 18. Now a bicycle kick that goes high right between the American football uprights. That will result in a goal kick for the River Rats from the 6. As the clock continues to count, 11:15 and counting. As one of the defenders gets it set to kick it away from the 6. This the JV contest between Pioneer and Huron over at Riverbank Stadium, just by Gala Park on the edge of, on the banks of the Huron River. Kicked ahead whistle, that'll be a restart from just over the center line. Pioneer to take the restart. Number 6 walks over. Again, I don't have the JV squads memorized, and I don't have their rosters here. I should just throw that into my bag just for grannies. But again, it's 1-0. Then brought up and down on the far wing. Sent ahead Huron trying to get to it, that out the far touchline. That'll be a throw-in for Pioneer as the two JV squads tangle. Down on the far side, that will go out. That'll be another throw-in on the far touchline for Pioneers. They chase it into the near corner, trying to get across. That tipped out. That will be a throw-in for the River Rats. 1-0 is the lead Pioneer in this JV contest. As far as the varsity contest goes coming up, Pioneer and Huron did play once, and it was 1-0. That was back on August 27th. Pioneer winning that one 1-0 in that contest. Same score that the JV squad has at this point. At least according to the SEC Red standings, Pioneer a point behind Saline on the varsity squad SEC standings. We'll talk more about that later. Headed up high by Huron, now headed down the pitch. Popped up high by Pioneer, trying to gather it in is number 10. Now that launched all the way down the pitch. Back into Huron's defensive third. Under 9 minutes left to go. The keeper grabs it. Just on the edge of the 18. Huron's keeper feints to roll to the far side. Now with the big booming kick. Just over the center line. Down on the near wing, trying to bring it ahead. Pioneer that fired all the way down the pitch as two players got tangled up. A Huron and Pioneer player racing down. The Pioneer player slow to get up, just stretches out, now pops up. Number 6 on the JV squad. As that will be a restart right around the 25-yard line, just around the far hash. For Pioneers, they move it over onto the near wing. Now that gathered up, sent back and fired ahead by the Pioneer defensive parent. Back over, now launched ahead. Pioneer racing over as the JV defender, number 4 for Huron, knocks it out the near touchline. Brought over onto the near wing. See if I can pull up a roster for Pioneer. See if we can get the Pioneer JV names. I don't believe the Huron roster is on the website. That popped back, trying to gather it over. 7 minutes, 7 seconds left to go as Huron controls on the near wing. This is the JV contest, bonus coverage between Pioneer and Huron. As Pioneer controlling over on the far side. And see if I can get, that's not, Pasternak had it over on the far side for Pioneer. That brought ahead. Trying to get it back over. This is not in numeric order. That was Anderson over on the far side with it. Huron with the throw-in. Ball on the far wing, kicked up on the center of the pitch. And brought back on the near side, trying to pull that away and grab it was McCready. Now racing ahead with it, Pioneer trying to bring it over was Karsh. Knocked down on the near wing with the throw-in. That was Werner with it. Pioneer player goes down. Great sportsmanship, helped up by number 2. Really appreciate that, as that was Werner who went down. And will be a restart here as McCready Back to kick it. Now it looks like it's going to be Anderson. Ryan Anderson to kick this away for Pioneer. 5:14 left to go here in the JV contest. Between these two squads, we will have the varsity contest in its entirety. We'll talk a little bit about the SEC standings, as at least according to the SEC, Michigan SEC standings website, we're coming right down to it. Final game of the regular season, and Pioneer is a single point behind Saline. It's big points. Huron right behind Pioneer. That headed back by the Huron defense, gathered in on the far wing, brought ahead, racing down on that far wing was Schmenke. Gathered in, and that slips out the far touch line as Pasternak was trying to get to it. Pullbacks, 4 minutes, 40 seconds left to go in the JV contest. Pioneer up 1-0. That headed, pulled back as Scott puts it ahead for Pioneer. Offsides the call. That will be a restart for the River Rats, as they're trying to get the equalizer. Chipped ahead, coming down the far touchline, held in by Huron, now dispossessed, racing the other way with it. Pioneer feeds it ahead, racing, trying to grab that is Scott. And sent back over. Shumko had it over on the far wing. And kicked ahead and out right at the Pioneer bench. So we will have the varsity contest coming up about 10 minutes after the conclusion of this game. 1-0 Pioneer on the JV squad. Huron trying to fire it ahead to get the equalizer with 3:35 left to go here in the JV contest. Bright lights on here already at Riverbank Stadium. How did it already become the last game of the regular season? I swear we just started not that long ago, a couple weeks ago, and we were already about to head into the playoffs. Trying to chip that ahead is Werner. Werner feeds it down, and then that rocketed back by a Huron defender. Back into the Pioneer defensive third. Chipped up high, trying to come over and get it. And kicked away by Werner. Now over, Scott trying to chase it down. That headed back up high by McEwen. Coming down the far side of the pitch is Pasternak. 2 minutes, 40 seconds left to go in the junior varsity contest. Once it hits the playoffs, typically we do have to broadcast on the NFHS network. Unfortunately, that does require a subscription, so we will do our best to at least get the first playoff game that will be at Pioneer on the 12th, time pending. Pioneer has it over on the near wing, trying to bring it ahead is Zumko. Zumko had it on the near wing. That pulled back. Intercepted, now brought ahead. That was Owens who tried to fire it deep. And went out the near wing. Werner with the throw-in. And headed up high. Trying to pull it over. Sumko. Pull back, Huron. Rockets it away. As that was headed up high by McCready. Knocked down and players collide. That is going to be a restart. 1 minute, 27 seconds left to go. Huron looking for the equalizers. That ball all the way down and grabbed by the Pioneer keeper. See if I can get a name there. I don't. I believe that might be Berquist as the keeper, but I don't have any numbers for the keepers there. Controlled, trying to bring it over. That tipped by Scott. Moving it over, trying to make his way through traffic is Owens. Whistle on the restart. 50 seconds left to go. Pioneer trying to hang on to the 1-0 lead here at Riverbank Stadium in the junior varsity contest. We will have the varsity contest right after this. We'll have the full varsity contest at the conclusion of the JV contest. Racing over, grabbing it. Excellent job by the Huron keeper to leap over traffic and grab that down. 27 seconds left to go. Time for the equalizer is growing short for Huron as Pioneer controls. That goes out the far touchline, quickly thrown in by the Riverettes as they have it over on the far wing, bring it to the center of the pitch. That's sent back over on the near wing, trying to dribble over. And pull back. Pioneer with it, bringing it ahead as that was Karsh who had it. Now rocketed high up in the air, and that will do it for the junior varsity contest. Pioneer wins the JV contest 1-0 over Huron. But a fantastic showing by these two squads as we'll pull up our overlay. That talks about the current varsity contest. Taking a look at the varsity contest, Pioneer is 11-3-3 on the season, coming off with a big win versus Bedford, 8-0. That was 2 days ago, so that gets Pioneer over to second place, 1 point behind Saline. So wins this season. They had a draw to start off the season versus Woodhaven, had a 2-0 win versus Sylvania Northville, had a draw versus Skyline. Then they beat Bedford 5-1. First contest between these two teams, as I said earlier during the JV game, was on the 27th of August. That was 1-0 win by Pioneer. Pioneer's losses came, first loss came versus Saline. That was 6-4 over at Holloway Field. Saline winning that on August 30th. Then they beat Lincoln. They had a nice 3-win stretch where they beat Lincoln 1-0. They beat Monroe 6-0. And they beat Bedford 6-1. A loss came at Rockford. That was back on September 10th. That was 3-1. Then they had a draw, scoreless draw again versus Skyline. Their third loss came at versus Troy. That was away at Troy. That was a 2-1 loss. Now they have 5 wins put in a row, starting with the big 1-0 win over Saline, 7-0 win over Lincoln, 2-1 win over Monroe, 2-0 win over Dexter, and then a 8-0 win over Bedford for Senior Day last Tuesday. Taking a look at the Riverettes. Riverettes are 9-4-2. They started off with a win versus Temperance Bedford 5-1, and then beat Monroe 2-0. They dropped the game to Pioneer. Then they had a draw versus Dexter 2-2. 2 wins together as they beat Skyline 2-1 and beat Lincoln 5-0. Then they had 2 losses in a row, one to Saline. That was a 4-1 win by Saline. Then a 5-0 loss to that very, very good Troy Athens team. Huron beat Temperance Bedford 6-0. Then they fell to Saline 1-0. They had 2 wins in a row, starting on the 17th and then the 22nd, as they beat Brighton 2-0 and beat Dexter 3-0. They had a draw versus Skyline 2-2. Very, very popular, the draws between Skyline and both Pioneer and Huron. Then they're coming off of 2 wins in a row, 5-2 over Ypsilanti and 4-0 over Monroe. Let's pull up the SEC standings here as we take a look. This from the latest. If you do a search for SEC Michigan standings, you come up Saline right up at the top, 11 wins, 1 loss, no ties for 33 points. Pioneer directly behind them with 10 wins, 1 loss, 2 ties for 32 points. Huron directly behind that as they are 6 points behind Pioneer, so they won't be able to catch up with Pioneer here as it's the final regular season game. But they have 8 wins, 3 losses, 2 draws for 26 points. Behind them is Skyline. That will be 5 points behind, so Huron solidly in third spot. Skyline has 6 wins, 2 losses, 3 draws for 21 points. Then Dexter, everything else ends up below 500. Dexter, 3 wins, 7 losses, 3 draws for 12 points. Bedford has 2 wins, 7 losses, 3 draws for 9 points. Monroe, 1 win, 9 losses, 3 draws for 6 points, and Lincoln at the bottom. Pioneer would really need Lincoln to win. Lincoln 1 win, 12 losses. no ties for 3 points. Lincoln is playing Saline today. So for Pioneer to win the SEC Red, they need to take care of business here versus Huron, and obviously Huron has other thoughts about that. And then they also need to be able to have Lincoln beat Saline, and that might even be the taller ask of what is going on. So that is your SEC Red Division standings. We didn't, because we came in during the junior varsity contest. Let's do our standard open here, and then we can talk about the upcoming playoffs. As soccer fans, Pioneer Varsity Soccer is live and on the air. We are live from Riverbank Stadium and into a nice big open because we came in during the junior varsity contest. So Riverbank Stadium just across the street from Gallup Park on the wonderful banks of the Huron River. The JV contest, Pioneer able to win that 1-0 over the Huron, and the Pioneer varsity looking for a huge win here. We just went over the schedules as thus far, and then let's talk a little bit in the SEC Red standings. Let's talk about the upcoming playoffs here, as what we have out there is Saline has a bye. So Saline gets a bye, and they will have their games on the 18th of the month. So the first game is going to be Huron hosting Lincoln. So this will happen the 12th, 13th, or 14th. And Huron 9-4-2 will host Lincoln 2-12-1. So you would imagine Huron being able to win that one, hopefully in advance to take on Saline. That will be the Saline game versus that winner will be 7 p.m. on the 18th. On the lower side of the bracket, it's Pioneer 11-3-3 taking on Belleville. Belleville will be at Hallway Field on the 12th. Belleville 7-6-4. I am not sure what the actual time will be on that. We'll see. It is still to be determined. But we'll figure that out. Then Skyline is hosting Dexter. Skyline 7-4-7 versus Dexter 5-7-3. So that contest will be played either the 12th, the 13th, or the 14th at Skyline. So the only one we have on that first set of games that we have a date on is the Pioneer game on the 12th. So Pioneer and Belleville, the winner of that will advance to play the winner of Ann Arbor Skyline. Dexter, that will be on the 18th at Saline. That will be a 5:30 game. Then the winner of Huron Lincoln will play at Saline at 7 p.m. on the 18th. Then the winner of those two games will play on the 20th at Saline. That is a 7 p.m. game, and this is all District 10. If you go to look it up at the MHSAA website, this is the District 10 bracket that's coming up there. So already at that point in time where we're looking at the MHSAA playoffs, and we're excited about that. Again, whenever we do broadcast the MHSAA playoffs, we do have to do it on the NFHS network, so we will do our best. I believe we should be able to broadcast that game at Pioneer versus Belleville, but it will be on the NFHS network, so that does require a subscription. Let's play a few messages from the MHSAA, and then we will be right back with your opening kick. You're watching Pioneer Men's Varsity Soccer, brought to you by Arbor Broadcasting.
Good reasons for multi-sport participation. Multi-sport athletes are more coachable. They have higher athletic ceilings. They become better talent in the long run. They have higher sports IQs. Their sports skills transfer, and they are better teammates. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Where can you find good information on all kinds of topics related to the well-being of our student athletes? Check out the health and safety page of the MHSAA website. Learn about multi-sport participation, heat and hydration, cardiovascular resources, as well as insurance benefits available for our students. It's all on the health and safety page of MHSAA.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
The love of the game draws us to sports, as players, coaches, spectators, and officials. For officials, it's a way to stay in the game they once played, to feel the thrill of putting on the uniform, stepping out of the playing surface, hustling to make the call, and building the relationships which can only be built in sports. If you still have that love for the game, we always need new officials. Register now at MHSAA.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Here are 5 good reasons for high school multi-sport participation. Fewer overuse injuries, less opportunity for emotional burnout, exposure to different kids and coaches, exposure to different roles, and learning to compete better. Being a multi-sport participant can help a kid become a more well-rounded person. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Yeah, it's 40 minutes now up on the clock. In a moment, we will turn it over to the public address announcer here. And we will, I will announce the squads, and we'll have the national anthem. It's getting started just a few moments late. We've had a couple 5:30 games at Hallway Field, so boy, it feels dark already as clouds up there as well, not letting a lot of light come on through. So feels like a big night game here, big lights on across the way here at Riverbank Stadium. Both teams over by their benches talking to their coaches, as we should have the starting lineup, as here is the public address announcer, or at least they heard some tapping. As soon as they hop on, we will turn it over to them. A big matchup between the number 2 and number 3 teams in the SEC Red. Both teams with win streaks. Pioneer has 5 wins in a row coming into this one. Huron with 2 wins in a row. They both would love to keep that win streak going into the playoffs. Pioneer has won the first contest between these two teams at Hallway Field. Pioneer would love to get a huge sweep against Huron, and Huron would love to get that evened up and keep their winning streak going into the playoffs starting on the 12th, 13th, or 14th. Do want to thank the Huron coach, Luis Gomez Dominguez, as he sent over the varsity roster for us. We're very grateful for that. Pioneer is in their white tops for their kits. They have the numbers on the front and on the back. Pioneer crest on the top left hand, right above the heart, and the purple shorts with white socks over on the other way. Huron has their dark, almost looks like black, but I believe it's dark green with the yellow on the front and back and the white shorts. Let's see if we can pull up the public address announcer here. Our field mic. Scoreboard, and then there's 3 posts over to the right there. And there's a couple of folks on the stands across the way, a number of folks just in front of us. Good contest. Game time temperature is 68 degrees here on this October 6th, already into a spooky month.
Hello everyone and welcome to Riverbank Stadium. And now for the Pioneer roster, if you want to start first. Number 2, Adondas Anderson. Number 8, Lucas Anderson. Number 3, Rice Vernon. Number 6, Rafael Carrillo. Number 14, Santiago Fiore. Number 5, Joshua Jacob. Number 19, Micah Jacobson. Number 30, Abdi Kaba. Number 7, Sam Kennard. Number 27, Carter Barrow. Number 11, Sora Koss. Number 20, Alex Patrick. Number 10, Isaac Levy Koseski. Number 16, Lucas Medina. Number 22, Brendan Moore. Number 99, Paul Earl. Number 0, Ryan Queen. Number 26, Alexander Lefleur. Number 17, Diego Rivera. Number 12, Elon Seinfeld Chap. Number 23, Felix Sarko.
I'll be on my best behavior.
Number 13, Lucas Sparkler. Number 15, Jack Temple. Number 9, Zach Zren. Number 1, Zach Wilhelm. And number 18, Tyler Winston. Head coach, Don Sunderman. And now for your Huron River Rats. Number 0, Noah Maldonado. Number 1, Miguel Moncada. Number 2, Amadou Piate. Number 3, Christopher Yu. Number 5, Nathan Sinkowitz. Number 6, Wilcook Diamond. Number 7, Amr Adi. Number 9, Brandon Gordino. Number 8, Brandon Gordino. Number 9, Rafael Kalhuri. Number 11, Colin Robinson. Number 12, Gavin Brooks. Number 13, Zach Regan. Number 14, Rohan Nolan. Number 5, Nicholas Yu. Number 16, Alexander Boy. Number 17, Nana Nakanta Andu. Number 18, Esteban Mercado. Number 19, Ray Benyei. Number 20, Tim Baker. Number 21, Henry Walker. Number 22, Ted Lee. Number 23, Tony Bowman. Number 25, Felix Laman. Number 25, Matt Christie. Number 26, number 27, head coach Luis Dominguez and assistant coach Eric Beeler. Everyone, please rise for the national anthem. Sorry about that. We're having some technical difficulties. There's going to be a singing for the national anthem.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming? Who the flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
As not only is Christina Wiseman a camera person, but singing the national anthem as well. So we at Arbor Broadcasting try and provide all sorts of services, and appreciate that greatly for my wife helping in when every once in a while those national anthem is hard to find. So we are about to get going. 40 minutes up on the clock. The officials right at center as we are getting ready to go here. Huron hosting Pioneer men's varsity soccer final game of the regular season for these two squads heading into the playoffs. As we said earlier, Pioneer will be hosting Belleville. Huron will be hosting Lincoln to start off the playoffs. Baker's set right at the center line, right in the center circle, looking to get things going. Big game between these two squads. We appreciate you cheering, watching wherever you are at. Thank you very, very much. As we are now underway, the ball coming over to the near side and will come down the near touchline. Picked up, Chowdhury racing the other way. Chowdhury gets that over to Baker. Baker rolls it back to Lee. Lee brings it up the field. Lee rockets it all the way back and collected and sent down over along the far side. The ball coming down the far touchline. That fired ahead by Nick Yu. Battle for it along that far touchline as Lucas Anderson plays off the body. Lucas Anderson trying to get it ahead. That comes back over as Strickler trying to pull it on. Rivera puts it down on the far touchline. That will go out. Nick Yu had it right on that far touchline. That will be a throw-in for Pioneer. Just trying to see who that is. A lot of the time it is indeed Templeton on the throw-in. As Berman pops it up high. That comes over on the near side, headed up by Van Ryan. Coming over to the far side, Chuknowski trying to get to it. That pull back over, Chowdhury trying to move it back. Now bringing it ahead was Kuyate for the River Rats. Coming down on the far wing, trying to go down on the far side of the pitch. Rivera battling back over there with Nakansando. That ball comes over center pitch, back into the defensive third for the River Rats as they launch it high and pull back down. Here comes Chuknowski down the far wing. Chuknowski trying to feed it ahead as Wilkins trying to get it. That grab back there by Moncada. That will go out. That will be a throw-in for the River Rats on the far touchline. That ball brought down by Rivera. Rivera comes into the near corner. Rivera trying to stay on his feet, looking for a cross, as that was knocked away. Good job by Zocher to deny the cross. And back over, another cross coming, trying to get that over to Starosta. Comes over on the near side, and that will go out. Couple feet to the near side. That will be a goal kick for the River Rats. 37-36 left to go here at Riverbank Stadium. Ball right back over on the near wing. Bringing ahead is Garduno. Garduno feeds it. Now Chuknowski trying to get it past. Lee knocked it down. Now racing down on the near side is Garduno. Garduno moves it ahead. That chip by Baker. Back over to Kuyate. Kuyate has it down. Now Pioneer pops it up. Trying to bring it back over was Regan. That ball high up. Lucas Anderson trying to gather it in. Now that poked ahead, coming down on the near touchline. That will go out. That will be a throw-in for Huron. Chris Yu has it on the near touchline. Chris Yu Throws it in. That headed back by Lucas Anderson. Right on the near wing. Wilkins trying to bring it down the near wing. Wilkins trying to get through as he got tangled up. Chris Hugh down. Now Chris Hugh gets up. We're happy to see he's all right. As both players got tangled up, that will lead to a restart for the River Rats. As they move it ahead, Regan fires it all the way down on the far side of the pitch as Brooks coming down the far side with it. That brought back. It will be a restart for Huron as they quickly launch it all the way down the pitch. Headed back on the far touchline by Pioneer. And gathered in. Here comes Regan. Regan comes to the center line. Moves it back to his defense. Garduno feeding it. That knocked down by Lucas Anderson. Lucas Anderson gets tangled up with Regan. Now coming over to the near side. Kayade gets it over to Chris Hugh. Chris Hugh trying to get down the near touchline. Chris Hugh feeds it ahead. And stopped and rocketed back the other direction as that was Medina firing it ahead for Pioneer. That ball right at the center line. Rivera battling down on that far center line. Nicasando down there with the 2-17s. Giving good chase. That ball goes out the end line. Trying to get down there in time was Starosta. That goes out the end line. That will be kicked away by Moncada. Now Garduno feeds it down the far touchline. And brought ahead. Here comes Brooks. Brooks feeds it through several defenders. That comes all the way down the far touchline, trying to hold it in there is Baker. Baker going for the cross. That knocked away and by Templeton. Now headed out of the way by Medina. Ball out as Huron feeds it back right around the center line as their defensive pairing has it. They moved it back over to Moncada in his 18, over to Garduno on the near side. Garduno bringing it ahead. Starosta providing pressure for Pioneer in Huron's defensive third. Garduno moves over onto the near side of the pitch, gets it over to Lee. Lee brings it up the near wing, trying to move it over to Regan. Back over to Lee. Lee feeds it. Chris Hugh trying to get it over. Lucas Anderson getting it over to Wilkins. Wilkins trying to get it over to Starosta. And just out of his reach. Lucas Anderson has it. Heading back towards the top of the attacking third. Starosta moves it over. That chipped up high into the near corner. Wilkins can't get to it. It goes out the end line. As that will be a goal kick. As Garduno comes over to kick it away from the 6. 33 minutes, 50 seconds left to go here at Riverbank Stadium. As Huron brings it down the far side of the pitch, Brooks feeds it ahead. That knocked down by Baker, now over on the far side. Back over to Nick Yu. Nick Yu over to Baker. Baker racing down the far touchline. Chuknowski providing pressure. And coming all the way back up. In and along the far touchline, brought over as Nakasa Ando has that tipped away now right through the 18. That knocked away by Van Ryan. Still battling on the far touchline as Rivera trying to keep it in. That launched ahead by Pioneer. And down on the far wing, brought back over to Moncada. Moncada has in the 18 over to Garduno. Garduno brings it up the numbers. Garduno gets it outside of his defensive third. Pressure coming from behind. Flips that over. Now that racing ahead with it is Kuyade. Kuyade knocked away by Medina. As here comes Lucas Anderson with it. Lucas Anderson. That's kicked away back over to Kuyade. Kuyade gets it back on give and go. Kuyade moves it over on the far side of the pitch. Now racing in Nancado. As that was Nakansa Ando, excuse me. That is a yellow card. So yellow card to Pioneer, that at 32-25. Not exactly sure who got the yellow. I believe that might have been Templeton. It's going to be a restart in the attacking third. Over on the far wing. who that is, as that is Chowdhury. There's Chowdhury back there as well as Baker. As there's a whistle, Pioneer has a 4-person wall that high, and that sailed a little bit all the way back on the track, as that will be a goal kick. Wilhelm in front of the woodwork gets back to his own goal line. 31 minutes, 35 seconds left to go. Scoreless so far between these two squads. Fired ahead, Chowdhury trying to get through traffic. That popped up high and along the near touchline. And that's Wilkins trying to get to it for Pioneer. Wilkins in there battling Chris Yu. Now the other direction, Medina feeds it ahead, racing down to try and get to it. Cook Diamond has it, that was Garduno who moves it back over to Makonda. Makonda puts it over on the far side. Brooks back over to Makonda. Makonda over to Garduno. Now Chris Yu has it. Wilkins challenging. That back over. Here comes Starosta. Starosta into the 18. Big challenge, and that knocked away by the Huron defense. Van Ryan trying to get to it away from Kuyate. And moved back and then popped up high by Berman. That goes out the far touchline. That will be a throw-in for the River Rats. 30 minutes, 30 seconds left to go here in the first. Scoreless so far. As a battle for it on the far touchline. Nakasa Ando moves it over. Nakasa Ando tried to get through traffic over to Medina, but that's going to be a restart for Huron. They'll have that ball just inside the attacking third, as Baker will have the restart as we hit the 30-minute mark here. Scoreless so far. Baker looking to kick it away. Baker puts his left foot into it. That grab by Wilhelm. Wilhelm throws it out, coming down the near side, trying to get it over to Medina. Baker has it. That goes out the near touchline. Excuse me, that was Chuknowski who was challenging. Now Chris Yu on the near touchline, throws it in. That knocked down. Lucas Anderson trying to get to it. That deflects out the near touchline. That'll be a throw-in for Chris Yu. Chris Yu approaches the touchline. Now tosses it over. Trying to get it to Kuyate. That launched up high by Van Ryan. And deflects. Couple players going for it. We saw a dangerous play like that 2 days ago. Couple players going for a header, and they collided. Never like to see that happen. Controlled by Huron as they're coming up with it. Baker moves it back and along the far wing. Now Baker down the far side of the pitch. That slides out. Nikiu trying to control on that far touchline. Pioneer with the throw-in. As that's headed back. Loose trying to get to it is Baker. Baker and Lucas Anderson is over challenging. Now that brought back Nakasa Ando. Moves it back over. Lee puts it up high into the far corner. Nakasa Ando trying to get to it. That pulled away by Rifler, who fires it up the pitch. And that will go out the far touchline. That is going to be Huron with the throw-in, as they are deep in Pioneers' defensive third. As that pulled back over, trying to get to it. Chipped up over onto the far wing as Nakasa had it. Now racing all the way back. Brooks will just send that over to Moncada. Moncada back over to Brooks. Brooks coming down the far side of the pitch. Brooks trying to get out of his own defensive third. Feeds it over the center line. Pioneer moves that back over to Van Ryan. Van Ryan starts the Pioneer counterattack. Van Ryan feeds it over to Rivera. Rivera trying to get away. Rivera racing down the far touchline as that moved over. Wilkins has it just outside the 18. Wilkins trying to get away as a slide tackle by Regan. Moved over down the near wing. Chowdhury has that deflected away by Medina, but that out the near touchline. That will be a throw-in by Chris Yu. Chris Yu for the River Rats has it as it's approaching the 27-minute mark. Scoreless so far. That headed by Medina over to Chuknowski. Popped up high in the air. And will go out the near touchline. Pioneer will have the throw in. Medina has it just shy of the center line. Medina dribbling the ball as substitutions coming in. Strickler and Chuknowski go off the field as Carrillo and Kaba come in for Pioneer. Medina and over. Kaba tries to head it back. Pulled back over. Regan feeds it over to Chris here, who launches it down. Consando feeding it ahead down the near wing. And brought back. Pulled down and lofted away by Medina. Coming over. Kerbaway trying to get to it. That deflects and out the near touchline. Wilkins over with the throw-in for Pioneer as they're deep in the attacking third. Knocked down, now knocked away by Lee. Kuyate trying to get to it. Rivera trying to pull it away, but Kuyate feeds it all the way down. And slide tackle back over. Kuyate trying to get to it. And a whistle on the slide tackle. That is going to be a restart for the River Rats. 25-32 left to go here in the first. Scoreless so far. I believe that's Brooks who's going to have it just shy of the 40-yard line on the far side, just around the numbers. Brooks chips it up high. And headed back, played off the body. As Akansa Ando putting it in front now, trying to pull it back over to Wilkins. All the way back to Chris Yu, who's going to let it just go out. Chris Yu with the throw-in. Carrillo was chasing it over but couldn't get to it before it got out of bounds. Chris Yu with the throw-in. That popped up over. That will be
Nice call, ref!
a restart just inside the attacking third for Huron. Baker with the restart just inside the near touchline. 24-35 left to go here in the first. Popped up high, headed up by Pioneer over onto the near side. Wilkins heads it over to Kaba. Kaba trying to move it over. Baker heads it back the other way. Lucas Anderson blasts it all the way down the pitch. As Moncada feeds it up down along the far touchline. Here comes Carrillo. Carrillo puts it into the far corner. Brooks racing over to get it. Kerboy trying to get to it, but that out offsides the call. That will be a restart for Huron right around the 20-yard line. 24 minutes even left to go here in the first. Scoreless so far. Brooks to restart it. Brooks moves it over to Garduno. Garduno over to Chris Yu. Chris Yu has it on the near touchline. Back over to Garduno. Garduno back over to Chris Yu on the near touchline. Trying to avoid a challenge as Kaba tried to get to it. He ends up getting tangled up. That will be a restart for Pioneer as Carrillo has it. Now that's going to be Lucas Anderson who gets it set just off the near touchline. And this one is just inside the attacking third. Lucas Anderson calling off signals, raises both hands, now kicks that up high, that over to the far side, knocked down by Nick Yu. Now Rivera on the far touchline trying to get across. Rivera makes a move, heads back up the pitch over to Wilkins. Wilkins has it just outside the 18, back over to Lucas Anderson. Lucas Anderson puts a right leg up to it, trying to get it over, and Carrillo trying to hold it in the end line and couldn't quite get to it. That will be a goal kick for the River Rats. Moncada has it right at the 6. We'll see if Garduno comes over to kick it away. No, looks like Moncada will do it himself. 22-33, 22 minutes, 33 seconds left to go here in the first. Scoreless so far between these two teams. The one other time they played, it was a low-scoring game, 1-0. Pioneer had the win, but that was over at Hallway Field. Racing ahead, here comes Wilkins. Wilkins dispossessed, and over to Kaba on the near wing. Kaba trying to get into the near corner, looking for a cross. Kaba trying to make his way through traffic. That knocked away. Here comes Kuyate. Kuyate puts it up high. As trying to pull it down, Reifler battling in along the far side of the pitch. Now here comes Lucas Anderson. Lucas Anderson challenged by Baker. As that's sent ahead, now pulled back over. Brooks feeds it ahead over to Regan. Regan moves it back over to Moncada. That launched all the way down, headed back by Pioneer. That ball loose. Kuyate coming the other direction. Kuyate puts it down on the far touchline. That pulled ahead. Here comes the River Rats as trying to make a move over. That was Cook Diamond trying to get to it. That goes out the far touchline. Casando trying to get to it. That is going to be a throw-in for Pioneer. I believe that's Reifler who has it on the far touchline. Reifler gets it in. Kaba heads it up high, but that goes out the far touchline. Just right at the center line. Reifler again with the throw-in. That brought down. Steinfeld Chop trying to get to it now. Lucas Anderson has it just on the other side of midfield. Gets it ahead to Wilkins. Wilkins launches it. That knocked down. Now Baker fires it all the way down. Coming ahead with it. Here comes Chowdhury. Chowdhury with the cross, chasing it over. Nakansa has it on the edge of the 18. Nakansa he's challenged as that's kicked away. Down the far side is a good job, and there's Wilhelm, who grabs it. Fires it off. That was Reifler who made a beautiful challenge down in the 18. And brought back over, moved over on the near side. Racing down with it is Regan. Regan puts it on the near touchline. That brought back, challenged. Here comes Kerbway. Kerbway heads towards the center of the pitch. Kerbway, that knocked down. Brooks races ahead with it. Brooks gets it over the center line. Brooks coming down, slide tackle by Lucas Anderson. That ball loose. Still Brooks able to feed it ahead. Now Chowdhury trying to get to it. That loose. Fired in and a goal as that was put in by Priestley. Priestley puts it in as Huron has the goal. That at 1940. Number 27, Priestley has it. As Wilhelm was down, now Wilhelm pops up. Huron has the 1-0 lead at 1940 here in the first. Huron strikes first, and there was only one goal between both teams when they played at the end of last month. That all the way back. Nick Yu racing over, trying to get to it, trying to hold it in was Wilkins. As that will be a restart for Huron. Moncada sends it over. Brooks rolls it back over to Garduno. Now racing up the near side is Ketzenboris. Back over to Baker. Baker moves it over to Brooks. Brooks on the far side of the pitch. Brooks trying to get it out of his own defensive third. That launched all the way up as that hit off of the back of Cook Diamond. Now Wilhelm rockets it down the pitch. And gathered in by Brooks right at midfield. As that challenged and out the far touchline. As Reifler gets it in, Kaba trying to move it forward. That kicked up high. Van Ryan trying to move it ahead. That back over. As trying to slip it ahead. Down on the near side of the pitch was Wilkins. Wilkins chasing, working against Baker. Baker challenging. Wilkins trying to get through traffic. Baker comes away with it, dispossessing him. Fires it all the way down. Now Priestley trying to get to it, but Berman gets it back to Wilhelm, who fires it all the way down the pitch. And brought back over, sent Kaba trying to tip it back over to Kerbaway. And back on the far wing. Here comes Lucas Anderson. Lucas Anderson trying to get over to Seinfeld Chop. Seinfeld Chop coming down the far touchline. Brooks pulls that away. Brooks heads the other direction for Huron. Lucas Anderson trying to knock that away from him. Seinfeld Chop moves it back to Berman. Berman ahead to Lucas Anderson. That spins down the far touchline. Pull back over. Now coming down on the far side of the pitch. Trying to come over that. A shot, and that will go in. As I believe, trying to look, I believe that was Wilkins. Indeed, Wilkins who put it in. At 17-17. Pioneer goal by Wilkins. As it was moved over, chipped, and Wilkins got it back. As Lucas Anderson battling over on the far wing.
Let's go, Huron!
And slid over. Now we're all knotted up at one apiece. 17-14 left to go. Chowdhury has it to start things off right in the middle of the center circle. Both teams have now found the back of the net. Lucas Anderson comes off for Pioneer. And brought back to Baker. Baker gets over to Regan. Regan moves it back over to Garduno. Garduno over to Brooks on the far side of the pitch. Brooks trying to get it up to Kuyate. That's stolen away. Kaba trying to pull it back. And battle for it in along the far touchline. Huron feeds it all the way down. Racing ahead with it. Cook Diamond puts it into the 18. And grab by Wilhelm. Wilhelm goes into the 18 and goes down. Yellow card, that against Huron. So Huron picks up a yellow at 16:45. As Wilhelm goes back down onto the pitch. Wilhelm in some pain. Now he pops up. Trying to stretch things out as big collision. Wilhelm able to hold on. The trainer comes out. As we'll see if they bring in, looks like maybe Queen getting ready to go over on that far sideline. As they are checking, making sure Wilhelm is all right. He's had a couple big saves already in the contest. As coach comes over, checking to see if he's all right. So they're going to walk Wilhelm off, and it looks like Queen is coming in for Pioneer. Well, Pioneer blessed with 3 senior keepers. Wilhelm, Queen, and Paroff, and they all ended up scoring a goal. Paroff's was waved off in the last game, but each of them ended up scoring a goal. Wilhelm, the 7th, Paroff had the 8th, but that was waved off, and then Queen finished things off. So that restart coming over onto the far side. Fed ahead with it all the way down as Kerbaway trying to get to it back over to Kaba. Kaba feeds it over, but that offsides. That will be a restart for the River Rats. 16:30 left to go. 1-1 is our score. Huron scoring first, that at the 1940 mark. Pioneer tying it back up at 17-17, or at 17-17. Regan launches it ahead for the River Rats, trying to get it over to Nakasando. Nakasando down on the far wing, watching him is Reifler. Reifler contesting, and move back over to Kuyate. Kuyate looking for a cross, trying to make his way down. As Seinfeld Chop comes over to contest it. And back over, Chuknowski trying to knock it away. Nakasando moves it over to Baker, and that grab by Queen. Baker's shot over to the far side of the woodwork, and that grab by Queen. Queen walks to the edge of the 18. Queen will kick it away. That just over midfield. Garduno heads it back over. Right on the center of the pitch. Fed ahead with it. Here comes Kerbaway. Kerbaway offsides the call. Kerbaway got just beyond the ball as he was trying to time that as the ball was in the air and got just beyond it. So offsides. Huron will boot the ball away. moved over. Nick Yu got it back. Now coming over onto the near side. Regan gets it over to Listen. Listen has that poked away all the way back. Chris Yu heads it over. Kaba going over to try and get it. That ball loose, and Baker and Van Ryan got tangled up, and that is going to be a restart for Huron. 14:35 left to go, 1-1. The squad's tied up. Baker has it. Just on the near wing, raises his hands. Deep in the middle third. That high up, headed over, and Queen bats it down the near touchline. That will go out. Beautiful attempt, but a great diving save for Queen. To move that down, that will turn into the first set piece of the game. Is Baker to take the corner in the near corner. So Baker with the corner from the near side. Baker puts it low line drive, that headed back outside the 18. Popped back up, now brought back over. Racing to get it. Pioneer pops it up high. That was Medina. Rivera trying to get to it. Pulled back by Baker the other direction. Baker trying to move it over to Chowdhury. That comes back and out the near touchline. That will be last touched by Huron. Pioneer quickly ahead with it. Here comes Kerboy. Kerboy trying to get past Brooks. Kerboy and Brooks tied up as dispossessed and fired back the other direction by Nick Yu as that ball heads back towards the center of the pitch. Racing ahead with it, coming down with it is Nakasanda. Nakasanda pulled away and all the way back onto the near wing and out the near touchline. Nick Yu with the throw in, that tipped out as Carrillo trying to knock it away. Now Listen will leave that for Nick Yu with the throw in. Nick Yu trying to get it over to Listen. Listen pops it over. That ball chipped up high by Nick Yu. Over to Casando. Now that pulled away. Pioneer coming down with it as Chuknowski moves it all the way into the far corner. Brooks rockets it the other direction down the far touchline. Carrillo trying to get to it, but not before Granduno. Granduno fires it the other direction. Here comes Pioneer. Medina over to that, knocked away. Good job by Nick Yu to pull that away. Now Chowdhury trying to fire it ahead. Sent the other direction by Berman. Here comes Pioneer over the center line. Carrillo trying to get it over to Kaba. Kaba over on the far side of the pitch. That brought ahead as Seinfeld Chop trying to work his way in. Getting in the way with it was Regan. Now coming down with it, Chuknowski. That headed by over on the near side. Kerboy got a head on it. Brought back and out. That will be a goal kick from the 6. 11:22 left to go. Huron with the early score at 19:40. It's not early, it's halfway through the first. And Pioneer tied it up at 17-17. That's where we are standing as Kaba trying to get to it. And over onto the far side of the pitch as Wilkins goes down in a heap. Brooks brings it down the other way. Brooks racing down on the far touchline. Lucas Anderson goes over the challenge. As that knocked away, racing ahead with it, it's Van Ryan. Kicked right back. Lucas Anderson feeds it all the way down into the far corner. And will go out. That ball will be restarted off of an offsides. 10:35 left to go here in the first. 1-1 is the score. Brooks on the restart. On that far wing, Brooks gets it up high and knocked over, now brought ahead as Albidi gets it back right to the center. Now Starosta trying to get it ahead for Pioneer. Starosta trying to get around Granduno. Granduno still challenging, still trying to pull that away as Garduno, and that goes out the far touchline. Pioneer with the throw in. That brought ahead by Cook Diamond. Cook Diamond puts it all the way down the far wing now. And chipped and coming ahead with it was Alabidi. That ball will be thrown in by Pioneer. As launched ahead by Berman. Headed down, now put up high. As racing back for it, Rivera was trying to get to it. That ball popped up, gathered down. Kiade has it. Kaba pulls it away. Kaba coming down the far side of the pitch with a shot that grab by Moncada. Moncada dribbles it. 9 minutes left to go here in the first. 1-1 is our score. Moncada sends it as that will be headed right on the far touchline. Laid down, Wilkins trying to get to it. Now over on that far side, Berman ends up going, well, it went off of a Huron player, but .8:27 left to go. As now Jan Sain had it, now they changed their mind. As Cook Diamond with the throw-in. That headed up high by Van Ryan, now grabbed by Queen. Queen has it inside the 18. 8 minutes left to go here in the first. 1-1 is the score. That ball over onto the near wing. Rivera has it. Rivera trying to dribble ahead. Rivera brings it down over the center line. Rivera trying to get it over to Strickler. Strickler brings it ahead. Strickler trying to avoid pressure from behind as Brooks chips that over. Rivera gets it back over to Chuknowski. Chuknowski over. That moved ahead by Medina, but now rocketed back into the stands. As you got to keep your eyes open. You can't sit back on a soccer game, as you can certainly get the ball into the stands. Medina with the throw-in. Rivera trying to move it over to Starosta. That sent away by Garduno. Now Lucas Anderson feeds it back to his defense. Berman launches it ahead. And tipped, racing down. Brooks had it. That goes out the far touchline. That will be Pioneer with the throw-in. 7 minutes left to go here in the first. 1-1 is our score. Jan Saint with the throw-in. That headed back by Nick Yu. Now Chuknowski trying to fire it on net. That fired away by Garduno. Back Jan Saint coming down the far side of the pitch. As that goes out, he ends up down on the pitch. As that is going to be a restart just on the edge of the attacking third. Lucas Anderson kicks it up high. And it comes over, grabbed by Moncada. He has it right in his own 18. 6:10 left to go here in the first half. Moncada gets it right to the center line. Chuknowski puts it up high. Still battling. That pulled back over by Priestley. Priestley gets it over to Baker. Baker gets it ahead. Now racing down. Alabidi has it, and that knocked away. Good job by Jan Sain to stop a rush by Alabidi. That goes out the far touchline. 5:40 left to go here in the first. 1-1 is our score. Huron with the throw-in on the far touchline. As Cook Diamond gets it in. That fed ahead into the far corner. Alabidi trying to fire it in. That goes out. Again, Cook Diamond on the throw-in. Cook Diamond tosses it, edge of the 18. Lucas Anderson heads that out the far touchline as that goes over the gate. And these poor folks chasing the balls have to go all over the place. That headed back now. Lucas Anderson pops it up high towards midfield. That headed back over onto the near side, trying to get to it. And sent ahead. Here comes Starosta. Has it on the near wing. Starosta trying to get it. That went off of a Huron player as he moves it back. Now Van Ryan chases it back into his own defensive third. Van Ryan gets it ahead to Chuknowski. Chuknowski over to Berman. Berman coming down the far side of the pitch. Gets it over to Jan Singh. Jan Singh races up the far side of the pitch. Jan Singh feeding it ahead to Wilkins. Wilkins moving it into the far corner. Racing over is Starosta. And pulled away by Brooks, but that goes out the far touchline. Pioneer with the throw-in. 1-1 is our score. 4:10 left to go here at Riverbank Stadium between these two rivals. As Chuknowski trying to make his way through traffic, that pulled back the other direction. As racing ahead with it is Mercado over on the near wing. And chipped by Priestley. Back over to Listen. Moves it to Baker, who fires it ahead. That knocked down all the way into the far corner. It goes, as that will be Pioneer ball. It's Cook Diamond trying to get to it. And that will be a offsides. 3:25 left to go here before halftime. All knotted up at 1 apiece. Queen has it just in front of the 15. Now rockets it all the way down the pitch. Regan moves it over onto the near wing. Racing over to get Seinfeld chop. Trying to dribble back the other way. Seinfeld chop, and that goes out the near touchline. As with it, Grenier on the near touchline. Substitutions coming in as Lee comes back in for the River Rats. Grenier with the throw-in. That headed up high by Medina. Now pulling it back. Chuknowski trying to get through traffic. And ball launched high by Cook Diamond. Headed back by Van Ryan right at the center stripe. Here comes Strickler. Strickler gets it over onto the near wing. Trying to make a move is Seinfeld chop. Seinfeld chop gets over to Chuknowski. Chuknowski over to Lucas Anderson. Lucas Anderson stops with the ball. Feeds it ahead to Strickler, and that just goes wide to the near side. Good job moving that ball around, but couldn't quite get it to the inner side of the woodwork. Under 2 minutes to go here in the first. 1:55. As Moncada ready to kick it away from the 6. Moncada gets it up high. That headed back by Pioneer. Now kicked up high in the air by Grenier. Lucas Anderson trying to get to it. That pulled away, goes out the far touchline right in front of Coach Sunderman. As with the throw-in, Huron. And down Kuyade had it. That goes right off. Jan Sane with the quick throw-in. Strickler challenged on that far wing. That goes out. Huron with the throw-in. Chris Yu has it on that far touchline. Just between the benches. 56 seconds left to go. 1-1 is the score before halftime. As that will be a restart for Pioneer. They'll have it just inside the far touchline. And in the center third. Berman rockets it down the field. Chris Yu heads it the other direction. Trying to pull it back. Grabbing it is Wilkins. Wilkins heads towards the center of the pitch, trying to get around 3 players. Now over offsides, the call as Strickler trying to get back. Call for the offsides. 20 seconds left to go here in the first. Now 14 seconds left to go. Huron not in a huge hurry for this restart. 7 seconds left to go. Now that lifted ahead, down on the near wing, racing for it as that will do it for the first. So at the end of the first, it's 1-1. Pioneer and Huron all knotted up. Let's play a little bit of messages from the MHSAA. Then we will be right back with your second half action. You're watching Pioneer Varsity Soccer, brought to you by Arbor Broadcasting.
Here are 5 more good reasons for multi-sport participation. Multi-sport athletes are more coachable. They have higher athletic ceilings. They become better talent in the long run. They have higher sports IQs. Their sports skills transfer, and they are better teammates. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Where can you find good information on all kinds of topics related to the well-being of our student athletes? Check out the health and safety page of the MHSAA website. Learn about multi-sport participation, heat and hydration, cardiovascular resources, as well as insurance benefits available for our students. It's all on the health and safety page of MHSAA.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
The love of the game draws us to sports, as players, coaches, spectators, and officials. For officials, it's a way to stay in the game they once played, to feel the thrill of putting on the uniform, stepping out of the playing surface, hustling to make the call, and building the relationships which can only be built in sports. If you still have that love for the game, we always need new officials. Register now at MHSAA.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Here are 5 good reasons for high school multi-sport participation. Fewer overuse injuries, less opportunity for emotional burnout, exposure to different kids and coaches, exposure to different roles, and learning to compete better. Being a multi-sport participant can help a kid become a more well-rounded person. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. Have we gotten to the point where at some high school game that an official has finally had enough from coaches, players, and adults, pulls off the whistle, and offers it to you? Let's hope not. There's no way you could do a better job. It's on everyone to promote good sportsmanship. So before you blurt something out about that next close call, consider this. Without the officials, nobody wins. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. Sportsmanship has never been more important between the lines in athletics and outside those lines in our communities. To listen, to respect, to understand, to practice common decency, to have competition without contentiousness. Sportsmanlike qualities are essential components of life itself. Let's all work together to not only be good sports, but good people. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Nearly 2,000 of the state's top student athletes will be recognized for excelling academically and in school activities through the MHSAA's Scholar Athlete Award, underwritten by Farm Bureau Insurance. The applicants will be in the running for a total of 32 $1,000 college scholarships. Application materials are available exclusively online through the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Health concerns in high school sports go beyond physical injuries. The mental well-being of our young people is a hotter topic than ever before. The Michigan High School Athletic Association website has resources to help adults and students recognize potential problems and deal with them in a positive way. You can learn more about these mental health resources on the health and safety page of the MHSAA website. A message from the MHSAA promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Let's talk a little bit about the upcoming playoffs, as both Pioneer and Huron are in District 10, which is officially hosted by Saline, but the first round of the District 10 playoffs are at on-campus sites. So it is Huron will be hosting Lincoln, as Huron 9-4-2 will be hosting Lincoln 2-12-1 for the first round. Saline gets a bye as the host in the first seed in the SEC Red. They get a bye to the second round. So the winner of Huron Lincoln will advance to play Saline. That will be on the 18th, will be the game versus Saline. The Huron game versus Lincoln will be either the 12th, the 13th, or the 14th. So keep your eye out there. It hasn't been announced on the MHSAA as of yet what day that is. So that's the top half of the bracket. And again, the winner gets to play Saline on the 18th at 7 p.m. over at Hornet Stadium. Saline 14-3-2. On the bottom side of the bracket, Pioneer is hosting Belleville. That will be on the 12th at Hallway Field. I'm not exactly sure what time as of yet. That's still to be determined. I maybe could see, I just saw a email come through by Eve Claire, so I wonder if we actually have that. If I could take a look, it would help if I'm taking a look. By the way, you can always reach out to us at Arbor Broadcasting at gmail.com. That's arborbroadcasting at gmail.com. It's hard for me to check when we're in the middle of a game. 5:30 will be the game. So 5:30 on October 12th, that is Wednesday, Pioneer Soccer, that's the lone home game that day. It's the lone game period. Pioneer Soccer will host Belleville at 5:30 on the 12th. Pioneer is 11-3-3. Belleville is 7-6-4. The bottom side of that piece is Skyline hosting Dexter. Skyline 7-4-7 versus Dexter, which is 6-7-3. That will be at Skyline. Again, that will be on the 12th, the 13th, or the 14th. Check and keep your eye at MHSAA.com to check that out. You can find interactive brackets and more at MHSAA.com. You just click on soccer as a sport and you'll get lots of good things there. So the winner of Pioneer Belleville versus the winner of Skyline Dexter will meet at 5:30 on the 18th at Saline, and then that will be followed by Saline versus the winner of Huron Lincoln at 7 p.m. on the 18th. The winner of those two games will advance to the 20th at Saline. That will be a 7 p.m. game. That will be the winner of District 10, and they will advance to the regionals. The game that we broadcast will be hosted on the NFHS network, as all playoff games are. Otherwise, we just don't have the funds to try and pay to be able to have it on our site. So it'll be on the NFHS network. That does require a subscription, but if you do have that, it will be our broadcast just put up there. So you'll still get to hear me, for better or worse, out there. Let's play just a couple more messages from the MHSA. I'll leave that up until we start to get going for the second here at halftime. It's 1-1. Huron got the early score, as that score was at 1940. And that score was by Priestley, who put it in. Then Pioneer answered back. Wilkins scored at 17-17, and that's where we are at.
Can you go anywhere and find an endeavor in society where we've come to accept and tolerate an adult, and even kids, treating another adult the way we allow spectators, coaches, and players to treat a high school game official? Can you? No one has the right to abuse game officials. So before you blurt something out about that next close call, consider this. Without the officials, nobody wins. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
The love of the game draws us to sports, as players, coaches, spectators, and officials. For officials, it's a way to stay in the game they once played, to feel the thrill of putting on the uniform, stepping out of the playing surface, hustling to make the call, and building the relationships which can only be built in sports. If you still have that love for the game, we always need new officials. Register now at MHSAA.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Here are 5 good reasons for high school multi-sport participation. Fewer overuse injuries, less opportunity for emotional burnout, exposure to different kids and coaches, exposure to different roles, and learning to compete better. Being a multi-sport participant can help a kid become a more well-rounded person. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
as we're counting down, getting ready to go. And bring in a little bit more crowd noise there. As we're at the end of halftime, getting ready to kick off the second. Pioneer will be going from left to right here in the second half. Both teams scored in the first half to make it 1-1. As Pioneer trying to get first place in the SEC Red, they need to win this game, and they also need to have Lincoln beat Saline. That might be a tall order to ask. Curb away in to kick it away right at the center of the circle. As it does stay Queen down to our left for Pioneer. Looks like number 1, I believe that's Moncada for Huron. All kicked all the way by Lucas Anderson. Knocked the other direction by Chris Yu. Chris Yu trying to come down the far touchline. He goes out. Quickly a throw in to Pioneer. Kaba has it down the far touchline. Kaba feeds it back over, trying to race down. On the far side is Medina. Now Wilkins trying to get through traffic. As that was whistled, that will be a restart for Pioneer. As they have it just inside of the far touchline. That is inside the attacking third by a few yards. Lucas Anderson to kick it away underneath the lights here. 64 degrees for the second half kickoff. It's staying a fairly reasonable fall day, can't complain. It does make you want a little cider and donuts. That popped up high, trying to get to it over on the near wing. Rivera, that goes out the end line, as that will be kicked away by Mikado.
Wake up,
Mikado
Huron! Wake up!
moves it over onto the near wing. Brooks with it there. Brooks heads down the near touchline, gets that back over to Nick Yu. Nick Yu trying to move it over. Kaba providing pressure as Regan fires it back. Down on the far sideline, that will be a restart for Huron. 38-30 left to go. Quickly down the far wing it goes. Moved over to Regan. Regan trying to avoid pressure by Kerbaway. Rocketed ahead. Lucas Anderson intercepts that. Lucas Anderson racing, trying to get it away from Kuyate. Now Kaba back over. Chuknowski has that knocked all the way back to midfield. Fired in as Regan heads it. As Regan goes over Rivera, that will be a whistle. Pioneer will get the restart. 37-53, 1-1. It was a single goal by Pioneer in the first time these two teams met with each other. Lucas Anderson back, trying to make moves. Then now Van Ryan runs down the pitch. Lucas Anderson raises both hands, chips it up in the air. That grab! Moncada with a beautiful save. Moncada has it, rolls it over onto the near wing. Bringing it up is Brooks. Brooks feeds it over to Nick Yu. Nick Yu moving it over. Kaba trying to challenge. That brought back. Moncada feeds it over down the far side of the pitch. Lucas Anderson over to Kaba, who heads it. Now Kerbaway trying to play it off the body. Kuyate steals that one away. Kuyate putting it down on the near wing, racing over with it, as that's just fired by Berman out the near touchline. There'll be a throw-in on the near touchline as that sent in by Nakasanda. Pioneer able to bring it back. Now Rivera moves it over. That headed down by Regan. Regan plays it on the near touchline. Regan trying to get it away. That will stay here on ball as Nick Yu gets it over to Regan. Regan challenged by Kaba. Brought back over. Nick Yu trying to fire it ahead. Now Lucas Anderson moves it. Pulled back by Brooks. Brooks has it knocked away by Rivera but gets it back. Brooks sending it over. Lee Has it down now. Wilkins pops it up high, down on the near touchline, and blasted ahead by Templeton. Brought back down, fed over center. Is coming ahead with it. That's sent into the near corner as the Casa Endo has it into the near corner. The Casa Endo trying to get to it. That pulled back. Flipped over by Chuknowski. Regan has it. Regan has that pulled away. Here comes Kaba with it. Kaba putting it ahead, and Brooks ends up down on the pitch. He pops up. That'll be a restart for Huron. 35-30 left to go here in the first. 1-1 is the score. Brooks feeds it over onto the far wing for Chris Yu. Chris Yu brings it ahead. And headed back by Pioneer. Kaba trying to get to it. Now Lucas Anderson puts it into the far corner. Kerbaway trying to get to it. Kerbaway and Chris Yu battling. Chris Yu pulls that away. Chris Yu has that chipped over. Now coming in. And blasted. Pulled back by Brooks. Brooks gets it over to Kuyate. Kuyate coming down the near side of the pitch. Kuyate has Chuknowski pressuring him. Chuknowski on the challenge. And pulled back. Now Regan fires it deep. Queen gets it inside the 18, covers that up, and looks to kick it away. 34-40 left to go here in the second. All knotted up at one apiece. And bounces. Kuyate trying to get it. Lee pops it up high in the air as that was headed back over by Chowdhury. Now Kaba trying to get it away from Regan. That pulled back and sent ahead with it. Knocked down by Chuknowski. Chuknowski goes over the Huron logo, but Chris Yu rifles it back the other direction. Here comes Chowdhury. Chowdhury over center, the center line. That blasted ahead, knocked down by Medina. Medina on a slide tackle as Lee goes down as he's slow to get up, but that goes out, and that's an offsides call. 33-55 left to go. That is going to be a restart for Huron on the far touchline. Baker has it there, just out from the 15-yard line. Baker sends it up. That knocked down, headed up high by Garduno. Garduno now and back, headed by Berman. Sent ahead. Kaba trying to race over to get it. That controlled by Baker, who moves back. And ball knocked. And Chris Hughes sends it, but that goes out the far touchline. Medina over to grab it. 33 minutes and 10 seconds left to go here in the second. 1-1 is the score. As Medina trying to get it ahead to Kaba. Kaba trying to work. Kuyate had it. Now Lucas Anderson feeds it all the way down the pitch. And we'll roll back. Mangata has it inside his own 18. Mangata rolls it down the far side. Chris Yu with it there. Or excuse me, Garduno with it there. And moved all the way over. That'll go out the far touchline.
Come on, Huron!
Here comes Pioneer with it. As Medina has it on that far touchline. Lofts that in, knocked down. And it comes all the way back. Medina trying to feed it ahead. That ball right at center. Nick Yu moves it back over to Regan. Regan sends across over onto the near wing. Now Brooks with it there. Brooks trying to get it ahead. Gets it over to Lee. That loose, racing ahead. Templeton picks it up on the near side of the pitch. Templeton tries to feed it the other direction. Now bringing ahead is Chuknowski. Chuknowski blasts that. That pulled back by Brooks. Brooks collides with Rivera. That back over. Now Berman heads it up, trying to pull it away from Baker. That on the near sideline, fired ahead right to the center line. As Kerbaway trying to pull it away from Regan. Kerbaway feeds it down into the far corner. Brooks in a foot race. As Wilkins trying to get over, Brooks able to knock it. And will go out the end line. 31-27 left to go. As that last touch to Pioneer player, that will be kicked away from the 6. Mankata has it. Moncada with the right foot. Sends it down. Lucas Anderson racing ahead with it, then knocked away. Fired all the way down by Garduno. And will go out the far touchline. As Chris Yu has it on the far touchline. Chris Yu with the throw in. That grabbed over to Baker. Baker and Van Ryan battling. That comes back over to Nick Yu. Nick Yu racing down the near side of the pitch. As that knocked away. Good job by Templeton, but Baker gets it back. Baker heads back up the pitch. Gets it over on the far wing and to Garduno. Garduno puts it down along the far touchline. That popped out. And will be a throw-in for Huron. 30 minutes, 15 seconds left to go here in the second. As Chowdhury trying to pull that ball away. Job. Van Ryan, that moved all the way over the center line, picked up there by Brooks as Brooks starts the Huron rush the other direction. All the way back, Garduno has it back in his own defensive third. Wilkins coming over to challenge him. Now Kaba trying to get to it as that hit all the way down. Templeton heads it back. Lucas Anderson plays it off the body. And that pulled down by Baker, puts it over on the far wing. Trying to come ahead with it, that loose. Medina trying to get to it. That will be a whistle and the restart for Pioneer. 29 minutes, 25 seconds left to go here in the second. 1-1 is our score. It's Van Ryan to kick it away as he launches it all the way down. Chris Yu at it. That ends up going out the far touchline. Pioneer with the throw-in. Wilkins has it for the moment. Down on that far touchline, waiting for substitutions to come in. Wilkins now throws it into Chuknowski. Chuknowski battling Lee on that far touchline. He's challenged and that's pulled away. Back to Baker. Baker moves it over. Chuknowski trying to get to it. Now Brooks sends it back. Moncada launches it all the way down the pitch. That headed back the other direction by Berman. Pulled down by Kayate. Kayate over to Garduno, taken away by Lucas Anderson. Lucas Anderson races the other way down the far side of the pitch. Lucas Anderson trying to get past Kayate. And pulled down, sent the other direction by Garduno. Now here comes Lee. Lee gets it over. Racing ahead with it. Nakasa Endo has it. And that moved over. Kayate back over to Brooks. Brooks on the near wing. Ahead to Baker. Baker comes along the near touchline. Feeds it ahead. That knocked down by Templeton. Templeton trying to get it. Baker comes away with it. Baker as it poked back. Now Lucas Anderson challenges. Lucas Anderson has it down the far side of the pitch. Trying to get it ahead to Starosta. Starosta had it. That goes out the far touchline. That will be a throw-in for Pioneer. As that is going to be Medina on the throw-in on the far touchline. And pulled back over by Wilkins. Wilkins puts it up high in the air. Gets you over to Kerbaway. Kerbaway in the 18. Kerbaway with a shot. Oh, that just hit the woodwork and went beyond all the way back to the fence. Beautiful attempt by Kerbaway. 27 minutes, 5 seconds left to go here in the second. 1-1 is the score. Two fantastic teams, number 2 and number 3 in the SEC Red. Moncada moves it over onto the near wing to Brooks. Brooks has been great all game long. Feeds it ahead. Kayate trying to avoid pressure. Kayate trying to dribble past 3 Pioneers. Wilkins challenging him. That kicked back away, but now coming over as Strickler sends it into the 18. Moncada has it there. Moncada. Looks like he's going to roll it. Now he's going to kick it away. That goes just over the center line. Baker trying to get to it, but that moved ahead by Pioneer. Now sent by Jacobson. Down the pitch. All the way down into the 18. Grabbed by Moncada. Brooks right in front of him, Starosta trying to provide pressure. And headed over by Chuknowski now, trying to pull it away, headed back by Nikiu. Kerbaway has it, Kerbaway feeds it over to Chuknowski. Chuknowski over to Wilkins on the far wing. Wilkins trying to avoid pressure. Back over to Kerbaway. Kerbaway quickly has Lee in front of him. Back over to Templeton. Templeton trying to get it past. Now back over to Templeton as Lee comes out to challenge him. Templeton puts it over to Kerbaway. Kerbaway in the corner. Kerbaway with the cross. That ball over and fired back out by Nikiu. Out the near touchline. 25 minutes, 20 seconds left to go. There's a battle between these two teams. Both playing high-level ball right before the playoffs. And Pioneer on the 12th, 5:30. They will host Belleville at Hallway Field. That ball into the 18, grabbed by Moncada. Moncada heads out to the edge of the 18. 24 minutes, 50 seconds left to go. And knocked down by Chuknowski. Pulled back over by Nikiu. Over on the far wing. That pulled down by Kuyate. Kuyate trying to get himself away from Jacobson. Moves it back over. Cook Diamond gets it back over to Moncada. Moncada flips it over onto the near side of the pitch. Here comes Lee. Lee down on the near wing. Lee gets it ahead to Nikiu. Nikiu with the throw in. Nikiu gets it back over to Lee. Lee feeds it back over to his defense. Bringing that ahead is Garduno. Garduno bringing it down the far side of the pitch. Rockets it all the way down into the far corner. That knocked away by Medina. Medina can't quite keep it in. That will be Huron with the throw in. 24 minutes even left to go here in the second. All knotted up at one apiece. Huron had the lead for a couple minutes in the first before Pioneer able to answer back. And just out the far touchline, Rivera with the throw in. Now they'll move it back over as Medina has it on the far touchline. Medina lifts it up high and over just shy of the center line. Fed ahead, Starosta trying to get to it, but not before it goes out the far touchline. Cook Diamond has it just in front of the Pioneer bench with a quick throw-in. That ball right at the center line. Lee had it. And that brought back over. Brooks calling out signals. Brooks moves it ahead as Berman trying to knock that away. Baker comes over on the near wing. Baker gets it back over to Nikiu. Nikiu has Kerbaway right in front of him. That brought back over. Now racing ahead with it's Kuyate. Kuyate trying to make it past out to challenges Strickler. Back over to Kuyate. Kuyate gets on a give and go. Kuyate puts it over on the near sideline. That put up by Nikiu. That goes all the way over and out the end line. That will be a goal kick for Pioneer. 22 minutes, 37 seconds left to go here in the second half. That ball set right at the 6. Van Ryan to kick it away. Oh, no. Now that will be Queen to kick it away. Queen fires it all the way forward. Trying to move it ahead. Here comes Rivera. Rivera down on that far wing as looks like some rain starting to fall maybe. All the way that ball comes over on the near wing. Collision. There's some kind of precipitation falling. There's a light rain coming. That move back over onto the near wing. That will go out the near touchline. Strickler trying to get to it. Couldn't quite keep it out the near touchline. That will be a throw-in. And substitutions coming in. I believe that is Chris Yu on the near side. Just has that shoulder right to me, so I can't read the number. Templeton heads it back. That goes right out the near touchline. 21:09 left to go. That pulled all the way back. Grabbing his Van Ryan, knocked away, lifted down the pitch. Brooks knocks it down. Brooks puts it over on the near touchline and lifted back the other direction. Starosta moves it over, trying to pull it over. That ball lifted back over. As Kerfkins had it, throw in by Templeton. Now Starosta trying to get through traffic. That ball out the near touchline. 20 minutes, 33 seconds left to go here in the first. 1-1 is the second, both goals scored in the first as Strickler gets it back over to Berman. Berman races down over on the far side to Rivera as the rain starts to fall in earnest now.
No, I'm good.
20 minutes, 12 seconds left to go. That ball down the far touchline is trying to get to it over there was Chowdhury. Pioneer with the throw in. Medina throws it in. That grab, Rivera trying to rocket it down the far touchline. I believe that went out. 19 minutes, 43 seconds left to go here in the second. That ball will be thrown back in right at the center stripe. As Cook Diamond, that moved all the way down. Trying to grab it is Queen. Queen has it right on the edge of the 18. As the wind has the rain sheeting from the near side to the far side of the pitch, Queen sends a rolling ball that bounces right at the center line, trying to get it back over as Jacobson. That brought back. Fire deep, Strickler trying to get to it. That knocked the other direction by Brooks. Whistle. 18:45 left to go here in the second. 1-1 is the score as the ball comes back right around the 25-yard line. Quickly on the restart, Huron moves it over to Brooks. Brooks fires it over to Nick Yu on the near touchline. Nick Yu heading towards the center of the pitch. That fired ahead. And launched the other direction by Berman. Now racing for it, Starosta trying to get to it. And fired by Baker high up in the air. That'll go out the near touchline. Templeton with the throw-in on the near touchline. We approach the 18-minute mark. 1-1 is the score. Over 12 minutes gone here in the second. Templeton throws it in as trying to get to it in the near corner is Kennard. Kennard comes back. Kennard feeds it ahead and popped up high as Kuyate gets it down on the near touchline. Fed ahead by Berman. Templeton trying to get to it, but that goes out the near touchline. Quick throw in by the River Rats. Berman puts it ahead. Now over to get it over to Kennard. That goes out the near touchline. Kennard, someone without a cast on his right hand, throw that in. Kennard, Warrior back out there. Starosta trying to get to it. Now Lucas Anderson and Kuyate pulled away by Kerfkins over into the far corner. Brought back and fired all the way down by Regan. Berman sends it the other direction. Trying to keep it in is Starosta. Starosta has it into the near corner and can't quite get it as that momentum carried the ball out the end line. That will be a goal kick for the River Rats. Moncada gets it set on the 6. Moved ahead, now over to Regan. Regan comes up the middle of the pitch. Regan trying to get it over to Baker. Baker has it over the center line. Baker over to Nakasa Ando. Nakasa Ando has it now. Baker gets it back over to Baker. Baker trying to work his way through that, kicked away. Here comes Pioneer. Templeton racing down the pitch with it. Templeton feeds it ahead, trying to get to it is Kerfkins. That deflects away. Scarduno has it all the way, puts it back out the far touchline. Now Cook Diamond on the throw-in, pulled back by Lucas Anderson. Lucas Anderson trying to dribble through traffic. That brought away by Coyote. Now Baker launches it ahead. And coming over as Queen dives down, gets its hand on it as Nakasa Ando was racing down the pitch. If not for that dive by Queen, he would have had a fantastic chance. 5:30 left to go here. In the second, 1-1 is our score. Templeton has the throw-in on the near touchline. Templeton with the throw-in. As that coming ahead with it. Adonis Anderson trying to pull that back. That goes out the near touchline. Templeton will again throw it in. This time inside the middle third. Whistle, and I think we're going to have some substitutions. Or maybe not. As Templeton launches it, Adonis Anderson chasing it down. Put up high. Headed back by Strickler, trying to get it over to Rivera. Rivera pops it back and pulled down by Medina. Medina back over to Rivera on the far touchline. Rivera playing with the cross that headed over, and now picking it up. Here comes Templeton. Templeton racing down the pitch. Templeton with the shot. That goes wide by a couple feet to the near side. 14:25 left to go here in the second. 1-1 is our score. That is going to be a corner as Lucas Anderson has it in the near corner. We haven't had very many set pieces in this contest. Kerfkins over near. Lucas Anderson puts it up. That's a low line drive. Deflected back, trying to play it down as Priestley fires it over. Here comes Chowdhury. Chowdhury racing ahead with it as Adonis Anderson trying to catch up with him. Now that pull back over. Chowdhury still with it. That goes off of Lucas Anderson, but back over. Mac behind, trying to pull that back. Regan had it. Now here comes Pioneer. Ahead with it over onto the near wing is Rivera. Rivera trying to get it over to Kennard. That ball back over. Now that launched by Rivera. Headed back the other direction. Amazing head back there by Garduno. That goes out the far side of the pitch. That will be a throw-in from the far touchline. 13:15 left to go here in the second. That over, trying to pull it back. I believe that's Chuknowski, and that goes wide just to the near side and out. That will be a goal kick. Under 13 minutes left to go here at Riverbank Stadium, just across from Gallup Park on the banks of the Huron River. Moncada sends it over. Racing ahead with it down the far wing. Garduno. Now Cook Diamond sends it back. Moncada launches it. That headed down by Strickler. And it comes back over the center line. Now Berman chasing it over. Casa Endo has it. That put back as Lucas Anderson has it right around the 40-yard line. Now Strickler fires it all the way down the far touchline into the far corner. That stays in the far touchline. As trying to pull it back was Rivera. And will go out the far touchline. 12 seconds left to go. Here in the second, 1-1. If you are watching, if you need to go out, drive around a little bit to work off some nervous energy, we do have the audio broadcast as well on arborbroadcasting.com. All the way back into the Pioneer defensive third. Foot race for it as that will go out the end line. As it was a battle back there, Van Ryan trying to get over. Akansa Ando, again with speed. He has been a problem all game long. With lots and lots of speed, this is going to be a corner from the far corner. Baker to kick it away. Baker raises his hands. Baker puts it up in to the sky. That comes over onto the near wing as Strickler will let it roll out. That will be a throw-in for Pioneer. Under 11 minutes left to go here in the second. Templeton heads over to the near touchline for the throw-in. Both teams trying to keep some fresh legs on the pitch, bringing in substitutions. All knotted up at one apiece. It was a single goal that separated these two teams. Only one goal scored when they first met. Here comes Lucas Anderson heading ahead to Adonis Anderson. Adonis Anderson fires it all the way down. Cook Diamond trying to get to it. That fired and went in as Rivera scores. As coming out to try and block that was Mancada, but Rivera able to make a nifty move, and Rivera puts it in for Pioneer. And at 10:20, Pioneer has their first lead of the game.
Come on, Huron! Let's go, boys!
2-1 Pioneer with the lead as the River Rat faithful do their best to try and provide extra energy for the home team. And pulled back by Baker, gets it over to Nick Yu. Nick Yu racing up the near sideline. Nick Yu gets that moved over to Alabidi. Alabidi with the cross over to Baker. And pulled back over by Kuyade. Kuyade trying to avoid pressure by Berman. Kuyade moves it back on the far side to Garduno. Garduno gets it back over. Now that ball fired into the 18, and Nick Yu right coming up the near side as Berman wisely just fires it out the near sideline. Nick Yu now will come back, and with the throw-in will be Alabidi just in the near corner. 9 minutes 30 seconds left to go. 2-1 Pioneer with the lead. Alabidi, that popped up high by Berman. Wonderful match between these two squads. Kuyade tried to get free. That knocked away by Van Ryan and then fired right back into the 18 as that ball popped up and off the crossbar. Whistle. I believe that's going to be an offsides. Nonetheless, beautiful chance, but that hit the crossbar. Queen has it set to kick it away on the offside. Under 9 minutes left to go here in the second. It is always a battle when these two teams meet. And it has, no matter what the sport, and it has been no different here as Kaba firing it down on the far touchline, racing over to get it. Adonis Anderson, he couldn't quite make the turn and fire the cross. That goes out the gate. That's going to go all the way down to Geddes there. Continuing to rain here as the rain lightly drifting down. The ball is going to be that's going to be a throw-in for Pioneer. Deep as Kerbaway gets it back over to Rivera. Rivera, who scored the go-ahead goal. Now quickly, Huron with the throw-in that headed up high by Chowdhury, rolls out and then rocketed right back the other direction. Battle for it right at the top of the attacking third for Pioneer as they feed it ahead. Lasin puts it all the way down. Van Ryan trying to get it over. Chowdhury feeds it ahead into the 18. Van Ryan, that was Templeton who got it off the back of his foot. Went out, and that's going to be Huron with the throw-in. 7:25 left to go here in the second. 2-1. Pioneer with the lead. Huron doing everything they can to get the equalizer, and their fans trying to provide every bit of energy they can to the home squad. As that ball throw-in just around the 25-yard line. And it comes back over, blasted the other direction by Berman. Battle for it on the far side of the pitch. That brought back Brooks. puts it over. Now Chowdhury feeds it ahead. Kuyate trying to pull it back, gets it back over. Now Garduno over to Regan. Back to Cook Diamond, right at the center line. Moved over by Brooks along the far side of the pitch. Now Brooks comes over the 50. Gets it over to Casa Ando. Moving back upfield with it. Moving it back to Brooks just on the other side of the center line. And fired over to Kayade. Kayade trying to dribble through. That knocked away as went off of Chuknowski. Now brought back over. The Casando trying to dribble to his right. Wilkins trying to challenge him. Now Templeton trying to get to it. That blasted away by Berman over the center line, racing ahead with it. Here comes Kerboy. Kerboy gets past Brooks. Kerboy comes in. 2 defenders behind him. Kerboy goes down. Kerboy throws his hands up. As Kerboy down, that kicked away. Kerboy still slow to get up. That ball comes back over in along the end line. Now there's a whistle. Kerboy still on the ground. As now trying to stretch it out. That is great sportsmanship. Moncada comes over to try and stretch out Kerboy with a bad cramp, and you gotta love the Huron keeper coming over. As Kerboy back behind the plane, I don't think the officials even saw that. So huge kudos with some great sportsmanship to Moncada. Always fantastic to see these two teams want to battle and they want to do everything they can to win, but you gotta love the sportsmanship by the teams. 5:30 left to go here, 2-1. Pioneer with the lead. As that is going to be a restart. As they have it set just past the 30, I believe. Yep, right the 40-yard line. That is going to be blasted away all the way down. Knocked down right in the defensive third. Pioneer gets it right back out. Starosta trying to move it over onto the near wing. Here comes Wilkins. Wilkins brings it ahead. Wilkins trying to put it into the near corner as Nakasa Ando sends it out the end line. That should be a corner for Pioneer, but a good defensive play as Wilkins was racing ahead with it. Now Wilkins moves out of the way as Chuknowski will take this set piece with 5 minutes left to go. 2-1. Pioneer would love to get an insurance goal, and Huron would love to get the equalizer. That headed up as that was Kaba. That was Kaba who headed that just a little high to the near side. Moncada blasted all the way down. Kaba knocks it off of his head, now racing over. That chip down, here comes Wilkins. Wilkins races into the 18 with it. Wilkins gets across, that put up, and that will go out the end line over to the far side. Kaba trying to get to it, but that's just a little out of his reach. Moncada with it at the 6. Launches it down, 4 minutes, 15 seconds left to go. And pulled down by Chuknowski over Rivera. Rivera had the go-ahead goal for Pioneer. Rivera trying to dribble through traffic, trying to get away from Cook Diamond. That ball still over there. Rivera moved it over to Chuknowski. Chuknowski trying to get past that, pulled away, racing ahead with it is Garduno. That out the end line as Van Ryan challenges. 3 minutes, 45 seconds left to go here in the second.
Stop the clock.
As substitutions. That in. Popped up high in the air. Kaba trying to get to it. Baker trying to pull it away. Now Kaba puts it up into the air, coming down the near side of the pitch. As racing to get it was Strickler. And knocked away by Moncada. Baker moves it back. And that's going to be a restart for Huron. As quickly blasted all the way down. Lucas Anderson trying to get to it. That rolls into the near corner. and out the near touchline. That will be a throw-in for Huron. Under 3 minutes left to go. 2-1 Pioneer with the lead as Baker trying to spin with it. Baker trying to get around Chuknowski. That will go out the end line. That is going to be a corner as Nakasa Ando with it. Nakasa Ando puts it up. That headed up high by Pioneer. Comes out all the way to the edge of the attacking third. Popped up, and Ryan trying to get to it. Now that moved over on the near side. Queen grabs it. As good job by Queen. As Brooks raced down to get that. Now coming ahead with it down the near side. Pioneer fires it down the near wing. Racing over to get it is Nicu Strickler. Racing over. Moncada feeds it ahead. Now that blasted ahead by Bowman. Down on the near wing and then fired ahead with it by Medina. Kicked away. Starosta trying to get to it. Bowman blasted it, and that thing went up into the top row of the stands across the way. That's a heck of a leg. You know, the Detroit Lions could use a kicker right now is all I'm saying. Although I believe Huron High School football team does have a better kicker than the Detroit Lions in Samaha right now. That moved back over, blasted ahead by Bowman. And in along the far touchline. That goes out. Thrown in by Regan as we have 1 minute 15 seconds left to go. Pioneer up by a goal. Huron has it back on the Pioneer side. That blasted out the sideline, out the near touchline. Casando quickly with the throw in. That launched the other direction. As blasted by Berman. And will go out again the near touchline. Casando with the throw in as Kuyate has it. That goes out the near touchline. Thought Kuyate touched it last, but that's all right. That pulls into the 18. Queen rolls over, slides down to grab it. 39 seconds left to go. Queen can boot this away, and by Pioneer, precious seconds. As Huron has backed up. Queen blasted all the way down. 25 seconds left to go. Chuknowski feeds it ahead. That grabbed. Here comes Strickler, knocked away by Bowman down on the near wing. Templeton plays it ahead. 14 seconds left to go. That lifted all the way down into the Pioneer side of things. That will be sent out the near touchline. Quickly with the throw in by Brooks as 3 seconds left to go. Good block and fed ahead by Templeton. That will do it. A hard fought battle. Both of these teams played very, very, very hard. Pioneer able to escape with a 2-1 win. Go-ahead goal was at 10:20 by Rivera. As the next game for this Pioneer team will be on the 12th. That will be versus Belleville, 5:30 at Pioneer. For my camera person, Christina Wiseman, my name is Mark Wiseman. Thank you. Have a wonderful